Hello YouTubers, welcome to another edition of Vocabulary for World History AP. We're looking at Chapter 6, we're looking at the rise and spread of Islam, and so we're going to talk about a few words that have to do with the early Islamic world, in the Arabian world. So let's get right to it. I'd recorded this earlier, but I'd recorded it during student-led conferences, and not student-led conferences, but conferences in the gym, and it was just too crazy. All these other teachers kept video bombing, and so maybe I'll show some outtakes of that. So let's talk about our first four words of the chapter. We have Bedouins, we have Mecca, we have Kaaba, and we have the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So I will be peace be upon him to the Prophet Muhammad just this once, so that way I can spare you the constancy during the rest of the video. So let's start with Bedouins. Bedouins, as we kind of discussed in class, and as you see in your book, were the names given to the humans who lived in and around Arabia and the Arabian desert pre-Islamic times. And so the Bedouins were divided into kinship-based clans or groups based on their family. And so these clans would often be herders, not farmers for the most part, because it was very difficult to farm in this part of the world, super dry. And so they would kind of caravan with camels and goats across the desert and seek out oases to feed and water their animals and themselves, and then usually be transporting goods from place to place. And so Bedouins were more of a male-dominated society, although women were definitely valued in this society. But because being a strong warrior and being able to fight for clan dominance and fight over different oases was important, males took a large role early on. They were also animistic and polytheistic for the most part, believing in many different gods and kind of the spirit world. They had not nailed down any of these universalizing religions. Christianity, Judaism were definitely in the area, but they hadn't grabbed a lot of believers in the area yet. And so these Bedouin tribes were kind of fighting for control of different areas in the Arabian world. So one of these places was Mecca. Mecca was a very important city. The definition of Mecca is one of the most important cities in Saudi Arabia today, and also one of the most important early cities for Bedouins, which was a center for trade and exchange and also religious worship. So Mecca, the significance of Mecca is that it is now one of the most holy cities in Islam. It's kind of the birthplace of Islam. That's where the Prophet Muhammad had done much of his work, and that's where he was most influential. And so it was a city that was founded by the Umayyads, and the Umayyad clan was in control of Mecca and had to kind of deal with, or tried to deal with, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as the religion started to grow. And the Umayyads would later kind of take control of the first Islamic dynasty after the death of the Prophet, and the movement of Islam was very much enhanced by Umayyads, starting from Mecca. So inside of Mecca was also a very important place, a location, the Kaaba. And the Kaaba is a very simple stone building said to be constructed by Abraham from Old Testament, prophet of God, and used as a place of worship for the one God. Over time, the Kaaba became the center in Mecca of religious worship, where different Bedouin tribes would worship different gods or spirits and bring idols sometimes to the Kaaba. And eventually, the Kaaba would be cleared out, and this is why it is a significant word and something you should probably know. It was cleared out by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when Islam had started to become more powerful and more influential, and it was claimed back for Islam and the one true God, or Allah. And so the Kaaba is still the most holy mosque of Islam, and it is the central focus of the Hajj, which is the pilgrimage to Mecca that Muslims must attempt to make once in their life if they're able. So that's kind of the significance of the Kaaba. The last word is the Prophet Muhammad, and I only got a minute or two to talk about the Prophet Muhammad. Peace be upon him. The Prophet Muhammad is the most important prophet to Muslims, and so he's the founder of the religion of Islam. The Quran, which is the holy book of Islam, was transcribed through the Prophet Muhammad from the angel Gabriel from God. And so the Prophet Muhammad brought this universalizing religion of Islam to the Bedouin tribes. This kind of ties it all back in together, to the Bedouin tribes of Arabia. And this was something that was very much needed among the Bedouin peoples, because this gave them a sense of universality or togetherness among themselves. This religion tied them together ethically and morally. It gave them kind of a sense of purpose in their lives. It gave them very much satisfaction and community with one another. And this religion of Islam then became the fastest growing religion in the history of all humanity. And so definitely a significant human being in this time period. And the Prophet Muhammad, we could talk a lot about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but suffice it to say he brought Islam to the Arabians and started a massive movement and spread of this religion across North Africa, into Europe, up through Asia, and then down into South Asia to India, and even into Southeast Asia and Oceania, as the religion spread through trade and conquest. And so definitely a significant move. We'll talk a little bit more about the rise and spread of Islam in the next couple of videos. I hope you're having an awesome time with your homework, and I am going to remind you to be awesome and Pachi. Good night.